We've all been there. It's late Sunday night. The Sunday Scaries are kicking in, and you make that silent, solemn pact with yourself. Okay, this week is going to be different. I'm going to get my act together. I'm going to change my life. It's a beautiful thought. But then Tuesday morning rolls around. The alarm screams at you like a banshee, and suddenly, that new you negotiates for just 5 more minutes of sleep. Then 10, then 20. Suddenly, you're sprinting out the door, adrenaline pumping for all the wrong reasons, already feeling behind before you've even had your first sip of coffee. I lived in that reactive, high-stress loop for years. I was a zombie on autopilot. Then, I decided to run an experiment. I shifted my wake-up time to 5 a.m., not as a one-week detox or some masochistic challenge, but as a genuine lifestyle change. And I have to tell you, the shift in my mental clarity and productivity over the next few months wasn't just good, it was radical. If you are tired of feeling like a passenger in your own life, just watching the days by, and you want to finally reclaim your time, this breakdown is for you. Let's dissect the mechanics of a 5 a.m. routine, and more importantly, how to build one that doesn't feel like a punishment. The biological boot sequence. Let's start with the actual moment of waking up. For years, I used a standard alarm tone on my phone. You know the one. It sounds like a nuclear meltdown warning siren. It practically shocks your heart into restarting. This spikes your cortisol levels instantly, putting you into a state of fight or flight before your feet even hit the floor. It's a terrible way to start a day. So, I swapped it out. I invested in a smart bulb that gradually brightens the room over a span of 20 minutes, simulating a natural dawn. It tricks your biology. This light triggers your body's wake-up hormones gently, so by the time you open your eyes, you feel alert, not attacked. Immediately after rising, there is one non-negotiable step. Before I check my email, before I brew the coffee, before I even wash my face. Rehydration. I down a large bottle of water with a tiny pinch of sea salt. Here is the science, and it's pretty simple. You lose a significant amount of water vapor just by breathing during sleep. When you wake up, your brain is essentially a dehydrated sponge. Drinking water immediately jumpstarts your lymphatic system and fires up your cognitive engines. It's a small, easy win that signals to your physiology. System is online. We are ready to go. Kinetic activation. Now, let's talk about movement. I used to believe that if I couldn't crush a grueling 60-minute weightlifting session, there was no point in exercising in the morning at all. That was a mistake. The objective here isn't exhaustion, it's activation. Some mornings, if I'm feeling slow, I simply do a 15-minute mobility flow just to unglue my joints. Other days, I take a brisk walk around the block. The goal is simply to get the heart pumping and drive oxygen into your tissues. This triggers the release of endorphins and norepinephrine, natural chemicals that boost focus better than espresso. Furthermore, there is a critical biological reason to get your body outside. Dr. Andrew Huberman and other neuroscientists emphasize the massive importance of viewing sunlight within the first hour of waking. When those photons hit your retina, they send a direct signal to your circadian clock to suppress melatonin. That's the sleep hormone, and, crucially, it sets a timer for your sleep drive 16 hours later. So, I leave the headphones at home. It's just me, the rhythm of my steps, in the morning air. It grounds you in physical reality before the digital world tries to hijack your attention. Mental defragmentation. By 5:45 a.m., the city is usually dead silent. This is my window for stillness. I sit comfortably, close my eyes, and focus on box breathing for just 5 minutes. Now, I used to think this was total woo-woo nonsense, but the data is undeniable. Deliberate breathing shifts your nervous system from sympathetic, which is stress and panic, to parasympathetic, which is calm and control. It creates a psychological buffer zone between a stimulus and your response to it. Once my mind is clear, I open a notebook. I don't use complex planners or fancy apps for this. I use a technique often called morning pages or a brain dump. I write down 3 specific things. What am I excited about? What is secretly worrying me? What is my primary intention for the day? This process externalizes your anxiety. Instead of carrying that mental clutter around in the back of your head all day, you trap it on paper. It transforms vague, floating stress into manageable data. Cognitive nutrition. Imagine it is 6 a.m. No one is calling you. No emails are popping up demanding your attention. This is what I call the golden hour. I use this time to feed my mind high-quality input. For me, this is the time for deep reading, biographies of great leaders, Stoic philosophy, or psychology. It feels different than reading at night because your brain is fresh, your retention rate is sky high. Some days, I might switch it up. I might work on a passion project, practice a coding language, or study a new skill. The point is not perfection. It is compound interest. Investing just 1 hour every morning into your own development adds up to 365 hours of specialized learning a year. That puts you light years ahead of the competition before they've even buttered their toast. Strategic fueling. Now, we're looking at 6:30 or 7 a.m. You have activated the body, cleared the mind, and sharpened your skills. Now, we fuel the machine. I avoid the typical high-carb sugary breakfast, the pastries or cereals, that leads to a massive glucose spike and an inevitable crash by 10 a.m. Instead, I opt for high-protein and healthy fats. Think eggs, avocados, or Greek yogurt. This provides a sustained, slow-burn energy release. With a clear head and a full stomach, I finally look at my agenda. But this isn't about listing 50 tasks to make myself feel busy. It's about the rule of 3. I identify the 3 absolute, non-negotiable tasks that will actually move the needle today. Then, I take a moment to mentally rehearse the day. Top athletes do this to improve performance. I visualize myself handling difficult conversations with grace and moving through my workflow with ease. This primes your brain to recognize and execute success when the real moment comes. Overcoming the pillow gravity. I won't lie to you, the transition to this lifestyle is brutal. The first week, every single cell in my body wanted to stay in the warm, cozy embrace of my duvet. The resistance was physical. But I realized something important. Motivation is a myth. It's a feeling, and feelings are fickle. Discipline is the engine. To make it easier, I reduce the friction. I lay out my workout gear the night before, right next to the bed, so I stumble into it. I charge my phone in the kitchen, so I have to physically get out of bed to turn off the alarm. I created a rigid launch sequence. Don't rely on your willpower in the groggy morning hours. Your morning brain is lazy and will lie to you. Rely on a system. And remember, you aren't doing this to punish yourself. You are doing this because you respect your future self enough to give them a head start. Sustainability protocols. This routine is a tool, not a cage. If it feels like a prison, you won't stick to it. To make it last, you need to be smart. First, adopt the 2-day rule. If you miss a day because life happens, that's fine. Forgive yourself. But never, ever miss 2 days in a row. That's when a slip becomes a new bad habit. Second, reverse engineer your sleep. You cannot wake up at 5 a.m. if you are going to bed at midnight watching Netflix. That is biological sabotage. If you want to rise early, you must sleep early. I have a separate guide on sleep hygiene, cooling the room, blocking blue light, which is essential for this to work. Third, adapt to your needs. If you hate meditation, try prayer or just sitting in silence with a cup of tea. If you hate reading, listen to an audiobook. Make the routine yours. Fourth, don't shock your system. If you currently wake up at 8 a.m., don't jump to 5 a.m. tomorrow. You'll crash. Pull it back by 20 minutes every few days. Let your circadian rhythm adjust naturally. The verdict. Here is the honest truth. Waking up at 5 a.m. isn't a magic pill. It won't pay off your debts or fix your relationships overnight. But it gives you the one thing you are desperately lacking. Space. Space to think. Space to plan. And space to breathe before the demands of the world come crushing in on you. That side hustle you've been talking about starting? This is the time. That fitness goal? This is the time. It is a declaration that you are the pilot of your life, not just a passenger along for the ride. So I have a challenge for you. Don't just consume this content and nod along. Execute on it. Set your alarm 30 minutes earlier tomorrow. Drink the water. Move your body. Breathe. Just see how it feels to be ahead of the curve for once. Tell me in the comments, if you had 2 extra hours of uninterrupted silence every day, what would you build? If you are ready to stop drifting and start driving, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the early hours. The clock is ticking.